Hey, good afternoon, everyone. This is Tim Duty, CEO of Catered to You Career Solutions. Putting out part one of a two-part vlog post for this week. Part one is going to be centered on strategic interview questions that you ought to ask at the end of your next interview. And these are questions that have been proven in the research to be effective and that I personally have used in several of my interviews with great success. So very first question that I suggest that you ask to your next interviewer is, what is the most important thing that you would like someone stepping into this role to accomplish within their first 3 to 6 months? And then also follow-up question to that would be, what are some challenges that I might expect to come up against in this role? It is important to ask these questions for a few reasons. One is that it is extremely helpful in terms of informing a 30, 60, 90-day plan, which is very important for higher level positions, especially leadership positions, where you are needing to have a strategic impact on the organization. And obviously they want to see how you are going to hit the ground running in the first 30, 60, and 90 days. So understanding what their pain points are and what their major objectives are for the position will help you put together a plan that will wow them and will be relevant to them. Second question I always suggest that candidates ask is something related to company culture, more along the lines of, I have noticed that your company really is passionate about giving back to the community, or maybe it's enriching the lives of others. Whatever that mission may be, you want to mention that you've done research on that mission, and then ask them more about it. How does this impact your role within the company, or how does this impact the culture as a whole? This one gives you very important information about what it's like to work there, but then also two, you want to read the way that the interviewer answers the question, their tone of voice, their body language. Does it ring true the way that they answer that question? It's very unlikely they're going to come out and say anything blatantly negative about their employer, particularly if they are the corporate recruiter for that company. But the way someone answers a question can tell you quite a bit. Furthermore, just asking the question in and of itself demonstrates your investment in the research that you have done on the company. And it demonstrates to the hiring manager that you're likely a cultural fit for the organization and that your character aligns with their mission, vision, and values. Next question that I always like to ask are, it's a two-part question actually. What do you like most about working for this company? And then conversely, what are some areas for improvement? And then I always like to ask, what are the ways that you are working to improve in those areas? This is important, again, in terms of potentially identifying red flags that you want to consider before accepting an offer if one is extended to you. Also very helpful in terms of choosing between multiple employers. And again, it just shows that you are interviewing them as well, and that you actually are not desperate, but looking for the right fit, a long-term fit. Next question is perhaps the most important question. It's the question that I would ask you to close with, which is, based on this interview, is there anything that would prevent you at this time from moving forward with me in the interview process? This is a good question because, first of all, it gives you a pretty good idea of where you stand. And second, it also potentially opens up feedback that can be helpful for future interviews if they determine that you're not the right fit for that particular position. And then last question I definitely would recommend that you ask is, how did you take care of your employees during COVID, particularly once COVID subsides or our lives return back to normal? It's going to be very interesting to hear which companies truly went to bat for and took care of their employees, and which ones maybe did not do that. So I hope that these questions are helpful to you. And of course, please remember that you should always ask questions at the end of an interview, whether you have a bunch of them or not. It shows that you're invested, that you are interested, and that you are fairly selective as well in terms of what you're looking for, which is important. If you have any further questions about interviewing best practices, job search, best practices, or if you would like tips on your resume, cover letter, LinkedIn profile, etc. I would love to be a resource for you, and you can feel free to contact me directly at info@cateredtoyoucareersolutions.com or private message me on LinkedIn. Thanks so much.